and welcome to the TaiwanPlus National Day Special, coming to you live from downtown Taipei. I'm Betty Chen.
And I'm Leslie Liao. Today, on October 10th, we are celebrating the 111th National Day of the Republic of China, which is the official name of Taiwan's government. Now, we're going to take you straight to the presidential office building where the festivities are already underway.
Some of the highlights we'll be sharing with you in the next 3 hours. A National Day address by President Tsai Ing-wen and also flyovers by military aircraft.
There's also going to be temple performances, which is something that we've never seen before at a National Day celebration. And there's also a delegation from Japan. Now, Japanese lawmakers and Japanese officials have come to Taiwan before for National Day, but something we haven't seen before is the Kyoto Tachibana Senior High School Marching Band. Now, don't let the word high school fool you. These kids are worldwide phenomenons. They're very popular, they're very skilled, and they've won many awards. They've performed with many celebrities as well, so this is a real treat to have them here. Plus, there's going to be some other surprises in store for you guys. What are they? Well, they wouldn't be surprises if I told you. Anyway, let's go to the presidential plaza where a performance is underway.
So as you can see on the screen, this performance is called Taiwan is a Treasure Island. And this is a performance inspired by an album that won Taiwan's first Grammy in April of this year for packaging design. And the singers on the album go by the name Bakelang, a word in the indigenous Amis language, which means celebrating a rich harvest and a completion of work. Bakelang is actually two groups. One is the second generation Falangao singing group led by Bai Lang, who are Amis singers from Taidong in southeastern Taiwan. And the other is the Chairman Band, Dongshizhang Yuetuan. The indigenous dancers are from New Century Culture Arts Group.
And Betty, I don't know if you know, but have you ever seen the packaging that won the Grammy Award, actually?
I saw it. It's really beautiful, very creative.
I don't know how much our words can do justice to the packaging that won the Grammy design, but it is very beautiful. It's a very, what we say, it's a topographical map of a coastline in eastern Taiwan, and it resembles the beaches on there. And Taiwan has some very beautiful beaches. It's mostly rocky and mostly mountainous. The designers who won the Grammy, their names are Li Zhenghan and Yu Wei.
Both of them are very young and talented designers from Taiwan, so we are really proud of their achievements. And I think people in Taiwan are waiting to win a Grammy for a long time, and finally, after so many years of trying, and they made it. We're really proud of them.
And as Betty said, we are seeing the Falangao second generation singers. Betty, have you seen many indigenous performances?
Actually, I do enjoy the indigenous performances, and we're talking about one of the groups. They're the second generation Falangao group. But actually, the first generation, meaning the father of the singer, is Mr. Difang Tuana. So who actually, his voice appeared in the 1996 Atlantic Summer Olympics. So the beautiful singing voice of the indigenous people of Taiwan actually shined on the international stage.
Absolutely. Now let's give this performance a real watch. There's a lot of, as we can see, the indigenous garbs, they're very colorful, they're very vibrant, and they represent different things. Betty, do you know how many indigenous groups there are in Taiwan?
Officially, according to my knowledge, there are 16 indigenous tribes. They have their own language and their own culture. And I think currently the government has launched a policy to revive and revitalize the indigenous language, which is a great thing. They even provide interpreting training courses for the indigenous communities. Because in the past, during the nationalist government rule, people were not able to speak their native tongue. Rather, people could only speak Mandarin Chinese, but now people are encouraging the diversity, so that's why we're seeing the beautiful indigenous singing and culture here.
And we're singing a choreographed dance from the indigenous group here, Bakelang. They are very, like we said, there's a lot of vibrant colors as well. Betty, here's a question for you, because you're a professional interpreter as well. You're a professional interpreter as well. Do you know a lot of... And that was a performance from the Bakalang group. The indigenous dancers, once again, are from the New Century Culture Arts Group. And there's two performance troops on two trucks, and one is the Falangao singing group, the other one is the Chairman Band. I'll let you guess which one is which, because one has instruments, one is just singing. And they're going into the next phase of their performance, which is another dance and song. What did you think of that last one, Betty?
I think that's a really interesting combination of the pop music that is from the Chairman Band with the indigenous music. So it also echoes the theme of this year, that is, we would like to have inclusivity and also diversity of all people.
Yes. Now this is the Chairman Band that we're seeing right here, the Dongsi Yue Tuan. And the other gentleman that we saw on the truck just now was an Amis singer from the next generation down from Guo Yingnan, the famous Amis singer whose music was sampled by Enigma during the 1996 Olympics.
So that was the first time for the world to hear the beautiful voice of Taiwan's indigenous people.
That's right. And once again, this performance here is themed, what is it? Taiwan is a treasure island. And we know treasure island, the word in Chinese, 宝岛, is often used to describe Taiwan.
Which is a true description because it's an island full of culture and vibrancy, and also now it's an island of freedom and democracy.
Yeah. So let's take a moment to enjoy this performance by the Chairman Group, which is, like you said, they're a very popular band here in Taiwan. We all know them. What do you know about them?
I know, they're singing now. Let's just enjoy it. Oh, here, coming in the stage, you can see all those little and lovely elementary school students. They're from Fuling Elementary School, and actually, they're not just ordinary elementary school students because they won the awards.
They look like they're warming up. Do they have a game later? Because they look like they're warming up with those jumping jacks. As Betty said, this is the Taipei Municipal Fuling Elementary School baseball team. And they're celebrating something very important because they won third at the Little League World Series in Pennsylvania, I believe, in the United States recently. And that was Taiwan's best performance in more than a decade. And in Taiwan, we do love baseball. I love baseball very much so. Some more details on their victory. They beat out Tennessee for third place, and they only ever lost once in that competition. That was to the Caribbean team. But don't let that little drought fool you, because Betty, I got some facts for you right here. Do you know Taiwan is very, very good at Little League baseball, junior baseball?
It's very good, but I don't know how good we are.
Okay, so let me drop a fact for you really quickly. Between 1969 and 1996, Taiwan won a number of Little League World Series titles. Do you know how many they won?
I don't know. Tell me.
They won 17.
17.
Which is a whole lot. I believe it's the most by any international team because anytime they go into Little League, especially baseball, countries have to represent regions if you're outside of the United States. So there's the East Asia region, which Taiwan represents.
So you can see in the moves, you can see indigenous people and elementary school students play baseball, and they include baseball moves into their choreography.
That's right. And it looks like the Bakalang and the Fuling Elementary School baseball joint performance is just about over. Up next, I believe we have is the Taiwan Military Joint Military Honor Guard, which is about to perform a salute. But here we see Yo Xi-kun, who's the legislative speaker, but he is also the head of the organizing committee for Taiwan's National Day celebration, and that's just customary. And we see the marching band now marching in. This is also the Joint Military Marching Band. Now, these joint military groups, they're composed of the Army, the Air Force, and the Navy. Now, Taiwan has a fourth branch of military, and that is the military police. We call them 宪兵, and that literally translates, tell me if I'm wrong, that literally translates into constitutional military.
That's the literal translation.
So let's tune in really quickly and see what this marching band has in store for us.
现在各位所听到的《捍卫进行曲》 将以磅礴浩荡的声势，展现全民捍卫国土的决心，为今年国庆操演揭开序幕。紧接着进场的是中华民国三军仪队，他们是国军的骄傲与荣耀，更是国家军威壮盛的象征。三军仪队平时执行国家重要军礼勤务及庆典操演，并担任国民革命忠烈祠、中正纪念堂、国父纪念馆、慈湖、大溪陵寝礼宾驻防任务。其礼宾交接仪式庄严肃穆，名闻国际，展现我国军精实壮盛的一面。
Now we are joining the Honor Guard performance. Now, if you look from the left to the right, we have the boys in blue. They are the Air Force. The center in the white is the Navy, and the ones in front in green right now is the Army. The main role of the Honor Guard is to perform military salutes for visiting dignitaries, but they also perform during these important national ceremonies. They're saluting now to Legislative Speaker Yeo Shi-kwon, who once again is the head of the organizing committee for the National Day celebrations, and that is customary as well. The Honor Guard also performs at major national ceremonies and celebrations, like I just said, but they also stand guard at important places like the Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall and the Martyr Shrine. And it's very impressive, Betty, because what happens when they stand guard there is they have to stand very still like statues, and they can't move.
Exactly. So you can see the most interesting thing about the performance this year is that these service people will have to turn the guns with their left hand, not their right hand. So they have to be highly skilled, and it takes long hours of practice. And it also shows the discipline and outstanding capabilities of our service people.
That's right, and there's also going to be a section during the salute where they will be marching without music, and the idea is to emphasize the sound of their movements. Now, this formation that you see right here, these double cross formation, is actually the symbol of Taiwan's National Day. Now, a little
10, right?
double 10. Now, a little background information. A little cross you see means 10 in Chinese. That's the word for 10 in Chinese. And Taiwan's National Day is also called 双十节, Double 10 Day, because it falls on October 10th, 10/10, that's the date. I'm always so impressed by these performances and just how in unison they are, and everything just looks so fluid. And we're seeing at least 40 people on screen right now, but they're moving as if they're one, and it's so impressive.
This is the common memory shared by many Taiwanese people. When we were kids, parents take us to the Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall or Martyr Shrine to see the changing of the guards. Yeah. And I guess like people would try to see if they would move or not. They usually don't move.
It's like, have you ever been to London and Buckingham Palace?
Oh, yes.
Yes, that's the same thing. And you can also see them at the Sun Yat-sen Memorial Hall.
Exactly.
They stand guard there as well. It's very impressive. There's always that joke, right? When you're at Buckingham Palace, you just see if you can get the guards to move. And I think people in Taiwan don't do that as much because if I remember correctly, when I went to go see them, the guard they stand on elevated platforms. And I've never been to London. I don't know if that's the case as well, but
I remember if that's the case.
That's the case as well?
I guess, if I remember correctly.
But do you know what's funny is, what's interesting is as these guys stand guard, one time I saw that they have friends there to kind of really help them, especially during the summer months in Taiwan, when it's very, very hot and humid, and they have to wear this full uniform with the helmet, holding their rifles. They don't have to hold it up the entire time. They kind of let it stand on the ground.
That's also part of the training,
yes,
right?
but they also have people who have to help them cool down. So that you see there's going to be somebody patrolling around them, spraying them with water, making sure that they stay cool, because in Taiwan, like, heat stroke is a very real concern.
Also in the background, you can hear the music from the Ministry of National Defense Orchestra. So they usually perform on major events or banquets like the National Banquet. During this National Day celebration, we have received various high-level foreign dignitaries coming to Taiwan. So the Ministry of National Defense Orchestra will have the chance to perform on these important occasions for our foreign dignitaries.
That's right, and the Honor Guard right now is performing to the music of the marching band, but the marching band will have their own performance following this right after. That gun flip is very impressive. Let's see if we can spot the left-handed rifle swings, because that apparently is a very big highlight this year. They've never done that before.
So people are saying why we're having servicemen performing at a National Day. I guess this is because we want to show the solidarity, the unity, as well as the capability of our military.
I don't know about you, Betty, but I'm feeling quite inspired right now by how disciplined they are.
What a wonderful performance.
And Legislative Speaker Yoshi Kun seems very impressed as well.
I guess we all are.
So now we're going to the part without the music, is what they're saying, the hosts are saying.
今年更不同以往，首次挑战全员着手转枪，在考验队员彼此间的默契及专注力。请给予一队弟兄热烈的掌声鼓励。协同合作，内外齐心，没有个人，只有团队。我们是中华民国三军仪队，请再次给予他们热烈的掌声鼓励。接下来演奏的乐曲是由陆军乐队李征志中士所创作的。为国进行曲，国军联合乐队将透过震撼的旋律，让现场嘉宾
Coming up in our live broadcast of the 2022 National Day celebrations. Stay tuned.
感受国军。
所以你觉得山给了你什么？没有办法用几句简短的话语来带过，但它造就现在的我。
山就是给了一个我们远离世俗的环境。 你可以忘记很多事情。
不要怕去探索新的东西吧。
很深沉的去认识一块土地，去认识一个很深邃的自然。
在山的面前，你只会一直感觉到自己的渺小。
每一次都有不同的考验哦。
妈妈表现得怎么样？
很好，10分坚强。
山是有魔力的地方。那如果今天不让你爬山，你觉得你会死？
生命肯定会延续下去，但我想心灵有一部分会枯萎掉了。
Thanks for watching TaiwanPlus. For more great stories from Taiwan and around the world, please download the TaiwanPlus app.
Welcome back. You're watching the TaiwanPlus National Day Special. I'm Betty Chen.
And I'm Leslie Liao, coming to you live from Taipei, Taiwan. Let's go to the presidential office plaza right now, where the military's Joint Honor Guard is putting on a performance, and then following that, there's going to be a performance from the military's marching band. But first, I'd like to invite another member of our team, Yvonne Yang, who's been watching our live stream on YouTube and monitoring the comments that have been coming in. And she's going to share with us those comments, and Betty and I are going to respond. So, Yvonne, what do you have for us?
I actually don't have anything right now. I think people are very focusing on the performances. So I'm going to give you a weather report now, because for people not in Taipei and you're not in Taiwan, the weather in Taipei right now is cloudy with occasional rain. And then temperature now is actually pretty comfortable at 21 to 22 degrees.
That's okay. Thank you, Yvonne, for that weather update. As you guys can see, the skies are a bit overcast right now, and there has been periodic rain. Let's go back to the presidential plaza where the Honor Guard is still performing, because this is just an amazing performance that we're seeing right here. Lots of discipline on display, lots of unity, and lots of cohesion. It's something else right there with the rifles, but I can't do that. Betty, can you do that?
I can't do that either. Let's enjoy the performance. Different formations and different techniques. Really impressive.
So once again, the people in the green uniforms, they are the Army, and the blue uniforms are the Air Force, the white is the Navy, and here is the marching band.
And talking about the military service here in Taiwan, Leslie, I understand that you serve a very different kind of military service. You actually serve at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
That's right. So in Taiwan, all men above the age of 18, they are obligated to do some sort of conscription. Military service is traditional, but I served in the, what's it called? We call it T-Tai, which is an alternative service. Now, I served as a specialist with a specialist, an English specialist is what it is, and I served at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Department of Protocol, right?
Department of Protocol, which is a place that you worked very closely with, Betty, except we never worked together during our time at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Go figure. Let's take a look at these rifle spins really quickly again, and this is a 20-minute performance. And to maintain that level of focus, to maintain that level of choreography for 20 minutes, I think more than anything demonstrates the vigilance, the discipline of the armed forces. And knowing now that Taiwan is under tense situations across the Taiwan Strait from China, I feel a lot better knowing that we have such high. Is this a butterfly formation? I'm sorry, that looks like a butterfly. That is beautiful. So the Honor Guard just gave their salute to Legislative Speaker Yeo Shi-kun, who once again, he is the head of the organizing committee of National Day celebrations. I wonder if this is about the end?
Yvonne told us about the weather, right? So
Yeah.
actually, in the beginning, we saw and early this morning it was raining really heavily. But the good thing is that it seems the rain has stopped. So it'll be better for the following performances.
So it looks like the honor guard is getting back in formation. Whether or not they're about to march off, the level of choreography is just so fascinating to me. I don't know how you can organize this many people to walk in unison like that. And the flag bearers have to walk in front as well. And it looks like they're going to give way to the marching band. That's what I'm seeing right here. The flag bearers. Did you know, Betty, I actually had to be a flag bearer one year. Not in this, mind you.
For what event?
I had to do one for my school celebration, and it's difficult because the person in the middle and the people on the other sides, the outsides, the people on the outside need to take bigger steps than the people in the middle because of
But
the
you have to
turn
look
radius.
that you're in sync.
That's right, and this is what we're seeing right here. And here comes the marching band, the Tri-Service Military Marching Band, and I believe they're going to have a performance of their own as well. Now, Betty, according to my information right here, the marching band will perform 8 songs. 8 songs, and 7 of those songs are Ministry of Defense songs. And these are probably, marching music, battle songs maybe.
Like those typical music for marching band.
Yes.
But what about the other one?
There is one song that is going to be taken from popular music. And I don't know if you know about it. It's from Richie Ren.
Richie Ren,
Yeah,
Ren
Ren
Xianqi, right?
And the song that they're going to perform is called 永不退缩. I'm not familiar with that song. I do like Ren Xianqi's music. I'm not familiar with that one. Do you have a favorite Ren Xianqi song?
I think we'll listen to the song and probably will know what song it is. But definitely that kind of music that will cheer you up.
Definitely. And here. Oh. So it looks like the marching band, their performance was in conjunction with the National Honor Guard is what happens.
谢谢国军精彩的演出。为了今天，他们可是顶着艳阳不断的练习，谢谢他们。
So, Betty, up next we have some temple performances by some battle arrays. Now, this is something very, very, very Taiwanese, and it's linked to Taiwan's folk religion. Taiwan's folk religion is mostly, do you know which one? The folk religion of Taiwan, where it's mostly derived from?
I think Taoist.
That's right, it's
Taoist,
Taoism.
right? There are a lot of Taoist temples, or actually Buddhist temples, but mostly you can see this is the first time ever we have temple festival performances at the National Day celebration.
And do you see that mask right over there? I believe that is the battle array of the Golden Lion. These are traditional temple performances from the southern Taiwan city of Tainan. And like Betty said, this is the first kind of performance that is featured at a national day. Now, every 3 years, the Qing'an Temple holds an event called, could you help me with that one? That one's Taiwanese. Yeah. And it has a 200-year history, and it involves 96 villages. And we're seeing the Golden Lion battle array right here, which was, I believe, made using a traditional type of paper mache. And here's the White Crane battle array, which is another battle array we're going to see. This is from Bao'an Gong, which is the Bao'an Temple. There's going to be a lot of performances here. There's deep choreography. The performances here are going to involve a lot of martial arts and a lot of traditional choreography. Now, the history of battle arrays are disputed. And if I'm not correct, if I am correct, battle arrays began as a local way to defend villages.
That's part of the way. Usually, the residents would gather around the temple, so temple can be seen as the center of the local community. So you can see on the screen we have lion dances as well as the crane. Cranes in Chinese culture is seen as a symbol of longevity, and lion is a symbol of bravery. So you can see these are the battle arrays with the lions and also the cranes, and people are showing their martial arts that echoes the theme of this year's National Day celebration, that is defending the nation together. So we can see the performances from the gold lion array from Xing'an and also the crane array from Bao'an and also the golden lion array from Guangci. And these are the main temples, and they have well preserved these over 100-year-old long history of the temple festivals.
Some of these actually date back all the way 200 years, actually. And these processional troops, they include drumming and, as you can see on screen, martial arts. And right now, these battle arrays, they usually act as escorts for processions. Now, to give you some background information, there's a lot of temples around Taiwan, and each of these temples, they have their own idol of the god that they represent. And a lot of the times, these gods, these idols, will be taken out to go on a procession, kind of like a pilgrimage, and they will be marched to other temples oftentimes where they will, you know, I find it kind of interesting because it's like two gods meeting each other and saying hello to, sometimes it's the same god.
Yeah.
It's two idols of the same god just saying hello to one another. And these battle arrays, traditionally, they act as escorts. And that's why you need the martial arts background, right? If you're going to protect the god, then you need to know what you're doing.
And usually they would put the god or goddess's statue inside a sedan chair, escorted by these people who know the martial arts, symbolizing the way of protecting the god and asking the deities to protect the people. And usually in Taiwan, Mazu is a very important tradition, so you can always see Mazu's statues in these important temples. So in a way, just like what Leslie said, they would have processions around Taiwan, and we know that the Mazu procession has been such a huge thing in Taiwan. So
let's tune in really quickly and see. Let's just watch this performance. Just so impressive. Different weapons as well. And now we're cutting over to the screen you see on the right is the performance at the presidential plaza. The screen on the left you see inside the presidential office, and there you see President Tsai Ing-wen and Vice President Liao. I think I also see Foreign Minister Joseph Wu all the way to the left, and they are receiving high-level officials from other countries.
So this is the practice, that is because usually on the National Day celebration, there are so many faithful foreign dignitaries, and in order to show the hosts sincere welcome, so the president along with the vice president, foreign minister, and even Secretary General of the Presidential Office and the National Security Council will be standing there greeting all of these foreign dignitaries. And you can see people standing on the second line. These are interpreters from different languages. So that was my former job when I worked at Foreign Ministry.
So you stood there before.
I stood there for many years. So there will be, you can see a Japanese interpreter, French interpreter, Spanish interpreter, and English interpreter. But for the English interpreter, the job is so easy because usually the president can speak English. But usually if Spanish-speaking or French-speaking guests approach the president and exchange a few words of greetings, then the interpreter standing behind will have to step forward and translate for both sides. And for me, I get to have a sneak peek of all of the dignitaries.
The president is doing a lot of bowing right now, which is
shaking.
I think they used to do handshaking, but I think during pandemic times they like to keep their distance.
Exactly.
That's what I believe. Let's go back to the right really quickly, where the temple procession is going on, or the temple performances are going on. And I'd like to just bring a point that every National Day, you get to see different types of performances, right? You not just only have like this is the first time we're seeing temple performances. And I'd just like to point out that you can see during National Day what is important to a government or an administration each year by who they invite or whom they invite to come and perform really quickly.
So temple festivals have long lasted in our daily lives, but this is the very first time for them to get a chance to shine on the stage and to perform in front of the such a great, large audience. So people abroad can also appreciate a beautiful temple festival culture of Taiwan.
And they're really bringing the energy right now.
Yes.
We have, like we said, we have 3 temples here performing for us. One is the Golden Lion Battle Array from Xinan Temple. That array was founded in 1946, and the Golden Lion was made from a traditional. The Golden Lion you see in the back right there, that was made using a traditional form of paper mache. And then you have another Golden Lion array from Guangxi Temple, and that's the oldest Golden Lion array in Tainan. And like Betty said, these temples are often, or these battle arrays are often steeped in history, more than 200 years old. And it is known as the Lion Ancestor because when you've existed for that long, you get to call it an ancestor, right? And it was started by the Xie family and has been passed down from generation to generation. Now, earlier we saw the White Crane battle array, and that was the one that really stood out because you saw the White Crane, and that came from Bao'an Temple. That battle array was founded in 1928. It's the oldest White Crane battle array in Taiwan, and usually outside of this, there's the White Crane right there. And usually the battle arrays are often, if they're not performing here, they escort the idols that we see, from the temples here in Taiwan as well.
And they come from Tainan. As we know, Tainan is the ancient capital of Taiwan. So you can see the formations.
It looks like they're forming, it looked like they just formed 111. And like I'd like to point out again, this is the 111th anniversary of the Republic of China, the founding of the Republic of China. How long do you think they had to rehearse this for? Let's watch really quickly.
So you can see 3 different formations with 2 lion arrays and 1 crane array.
And there is the 1111 with the different battle arrays in front, the 2 golden lions, and you also have the White Crane as well. Very impressive. Now, let's talk really quickly about the National Day itself, Betty, because there's a lot to go over. Every year there's a different theme. Do you know what this year's theme is?
Well, the theme of this year is defending the nation together. In view of the recent escalations of tensions faced by Taiwan, it is vital for us to unite together and defend the external threat. And that is the reason why in this year, the theme of the National Day celebration is defending the nation together. In Chinese is 守土卫国，你我同行.
And usually you see the temple performances in front of temples. They're doing it today in front of the presidential office. And like Betty said, they're doing defending Taiwan. And that's why there's a bit more of a defensive motif around all of these performances. You have the military that just came in, and then you have the battle arrays.
And also with the temple festival music, you can hear the gongs and the drums. These kind of sounds fill the center of the city with the sounds of Tainan.
And there's the double 10 logo again, the double cross, right? Remember the cross symbol you see there in Chinese, that means 10. Once again, double 10, 10, 10.
And also 10 in Chinese, we have a phrase called 十全十美. It means like 10 and 10, it means perfection.
Oh yeah, so it means doing something completely, right?
So why, Leslie, could you please tell me why our National Day falls on October 10th? What's the story behind?
That's a good question, Betty. That's a good question, Betty.
We've been talking about double tent, right? So actually, allow me to share with you the history. Back in 1911, well, that was still under the rule of the Qing dynasty. Our founding father, Dr. Sun Yat-sen, led several uprisings, and up until the 11th uprising, that was the Wuchang uprising, Dr. Sun Yat-sen, along with the compatriots and also the overseas Chinese community, jointly overthrew the Qing dynasty, ending the imperial rule and established the first ever republic in China. So that is the reason why the name of our country, ROC, is Republic of China. And as I mentioned, the support from the overseas Chinese compatriots also played a critical role because Dr. Sun had to escape to other parts of the world. So that was the history of the ROC National Day.
That's right. And that was the republic that overthrew the Qing dynasty, as Betty said. And let's go back to Yvonne really quickly, who has been monitoring our social media presence here in TaiwanPlus. As you guys know, we have been streaming on YouTube and we've been streaming on our TaiwanPlus app as well. So Yvonne, really quickly, could you tell us what's the latest on social media?
I got some feedback on Facebook. Chen said today is also Columbus Day and indigenous people stay in the USA.
Interesting.
Yeah. And someone on Twitter, Ton Shinjiro, say love freedom and democracy.
I love freedom and democracy too.
Yes, and some other one in Twitter, Oyaji, say omedetou gozaimasu, meaning congratulations.
Thank you.
Japanese?
We
Yvonne,
have
do you
a
speak
lot
Japanese?
A little bit.
We have important guests coming from Japan to Taiwan to join our celebration.
Yeah, they must be tuning in for that.
So now, as you can see on the screen, coming into the square is the Taipei First Girls High School Marching Band. The marching band is one of the top high school bands in the country. The marching band was established in 1959, and you can see this is a very selective team of marching band members because each member must be a skilled performer. They also need to have very good grades and excellent conduct. They are very experienced, and the Taipei First Girls High School is the best senior high school in Taipei, or you can say in Taiwan. And they have the chance to perform regularly on National Day and also at the flag-raising ceremonies on National Day, as well as the visits of foreign guests.
You also have they're also very close to the presidential office where this is going, right? Taipei Girls High School is right across the street.
Right.
So this performance is made up of three different parts of the school's performance troupe, and there's three parts to it. One is the marching band, the other is the honor guard, and the other is the color guard. Now these, if you're familiar, they always perform together, these parts always. And as Betty said, Taipei First Girls High School is the first.
轻快活泼的曲调，衬着沉稳的鼓声，用以展现高难度的抛枪、转枪和双人枪法。
没有错，北一女中搭配曲目，特别为国庆设计出全新队形，用各式转法和步伐穿插交织出美丽图案，同时展现了队员们彼此间的信任感。
接下来的寂寞枪法 在没有音乐、没有打数的情况下，悬枪踏地，要展现队员之间的绝佳默契。
You see, Betty, they also did a segment without music, just like the Honor Guard. And if you're an Honor Guard recruiter right now, after the show, you go up to one of the girls and be like, "You girls, have you ever thought about a career in the Honor Guard?" They were just missing the left-handed rifle spins. And maybe they did do the left-handed rifle spins.
So we see the girls from Taipei First Girls High School, but usually not just the senior high school, actually Zhongshan Girls Senior High School as well as Jingmei Girls Senior High School, they would take turns performing on the National Day celebration. And I remember going to some foreign missions when we went to some events held by some overseas compatriots. I actually saw their 学姐, like senior graduates, they may be in their 50s or 60s, they still put on the marching band uniforms and perform for some guests from Taiwan.
I mean,
this is a very good tradition.
This is a very good tradition. Betty, do you know who? And you said that they alternate schools, right? They have Jingmei, they have Beiyi, they have Zhongshan.
Zhongshan, right?
Do you know who went to Zhongshan?
Who?
President Tsai Ing-wen.
Tsai Ing-wen.
There you go.
Exactly.
You see?
Yes.
Really quickly, Betty, question. Did you go to a girls' school?
No.
No. Okay, just really quickly. But let's talk about Taipei's first high school really quickly, which is Beiyun Yuzhong. And that is like the hardest high school to get into.
I could not get into Beiyun
when
I was
two ways
in high
to look
school.
at it, right? You look at it from it's either the best high school or the hardest high school to get into. And
but as mentioned, like those who can join the marching band, it's not just about having good grades. They also need to have discipline. And they need to make sure that...
Right, and to be part of the marching band, you have to have great grades, you have to be skilled, and I guess if you're in the marching band, you also have to also know an instrument. So we're not just talking... The girls that we see on screen right now, they're not just in the best school, best high school in Taiwan, they're the top performers at the best school in Taiwan. So this is what we like to call the cream of the crop, right? They are the best at what they do.
And in today's program, we will... we have invited the Tachibana marching band from Japan. So actually during the rehearsal yesterday at the Chiang Kai-shek Memorial Hall, the students from Taipei First Girls High School had some exchanges with their Japanese counterpart. And I think that's a wonderful opportunity for high school students from Taiwan and Japan to learn from each other.
Can you imagine what's going through the marching band's like head right now, or the color guard? Like, this is a lot of pressure for kids their age to handle.
They're so focused.
And their performance has been immaculate so far. And I'd like to just point out really quickly that the color guard, they're holding flags bearing the colors of the National Day theme. Now, Betty, I understand that you know what the colors stand for this year's logo.
I think I do know. There are 4 major colors. We have green, we have blue, we have yellow, and indigo. So the color of blue and green symbolize the beautiful land of Taiwan and the homeland that we cherish. And the color yellow and indigo symbolize the fact that we are fearless, we jointly defend Taiwan and defend our democracy so that we can have a promising future. And that also shows our ability to include different voices and different people from different grounds and different backgrounds in Taiwan.
So the colors are very symbolic of Taiwan, and it's very consistent and in line with the theme of defending Taiwan. Because to defend a homeland, you have to love the homeland, you have to appreciate it, and that's what these colors do.
Yes. You can see the beautiful colors on the flag. It's really beautiful.
I'm just so impressed. That was really impressive.
Really good.
They tossed that really high up there.
Okay, let's listen to some of the music.
And that was the end of the performance by the marching band of the Taipei First Girls High School.
Oh, this is President Tsai Ing-wen, President of Palau.
That's right. And if you see at the presidential plaza, if you look on the street lights, there are flags hanging over there. And it's the Taiwan flags, but you also have the Palauan flag, which is the blue with the yellow against the blue.
And he's shaking hands with former President Ma Ying-jeou.
There he is. And Palau, of course, is one of Taiwan's 14 diplomatic allies in the Pacific. Cyril Whips Jr. has come to Taiwan multiple times, but he is here specifically to watch the celebration. Usually...
Also, during the pandemic, Taiwan and Palau have a very special travel bubble.
That's right, because both of them, during the height of the pandemic, are island countries. And what we're looking at right now is footage, once again, appreciating Taiwan's armed forces. And you gotta do it when you have a theme like this, defending Taiwan.
And on this occasion, we would like to pay tribute to our military. Thank you so much for your contribution in defending Taiwan.
Even these days, they're on their feet all the time. They're getting scrambled, and Taiwan has. And look at this right now. We have a flyover from Taiwan's F-5s. They are from the 7th Flight Training Wing of the Republic of China Air Force, Taiwan's Air Force, and they used to be the Air Force Training Center. And they're performing a flyover at the presidential office right now. There's also the Yong'ing Advanced Indigenous Training Aircraft, and they've been in use since 2021. The F-5s will be phased out by 2024. Coming up, the National Day ceremony is about to begin, so we're going to go into a commercial break really quickly. But when we come back, we will have the addresses for National Day. Don't go away, you guys.
Welcome back. You're watching the TaiwanPlus National Day Special. I'm Betty Chen.
And I'm Leslie Liao, coming to you live from Taipei, Taiwan, on our brand new 24-hour TV channel, as well as YouTube and the TaiwanPlus app. We're about to get started in the main event, which is the primary ceremony of the National Day. Now, this usually entails speeches from three people. One is the legislative speaker, who, as we said before, is the head of the organizing committee for National Day celebrations. Right? Yes. And then you also have an overseas representative, and then the main thing everybody is looking at is President Tsai Ing-wen's speech. They're about to commence the ceremony right now. The military is coming in. They're about to do a salute. And I believe they will start with the ceremony with an all rise, and then they will ask the chairperson to get into place. So let's take a look at this really quickly. The honor guard is coming back in, and I just find it so fascinating. Betty.
距离大会开始还有1分钟。
今年的国庆大典特别邀请陆海空三军以及海巡共7名代表，与来自连江县的马祖4乡舞蹈儿童合唱团。
So now we're going to go into the ceremony proceedings. The first thing that's going to happen is we're going to all rise. The chairperson is going to come in place, but there's also going to be the singing of the national anthem. Now, the national anthem this year will be sung by people in 3 different places to symbolize unity. There will be representatives from the Coast Guard, and we also have singers from Mazu, the gantry over there. And Mazu is an outlying island of Taiwan. So it's not just Taiwan, the main island. Taiwan includes many outlying islands as well, and they are being included in the National Day ceremony.
Also, our helicopters will take a huge ROC flag to fly over the presidential office building.
That's right. It's going to be escorted by 2 Black Hawk helicopters.
Can't wait to see it.
《中华民国中枢及各界庆祝111年国庆大会，大会开始，全体肃立，立正。主席请就位。奏乐。
And now they've called an all rise, and they've started the official ceremony. I believe the chairperson is about to take their seat. And now we go into the national anthem. And now they're going to bow to the flag as well as the portrait of the founder of the Republic of China, Sun Yat-sen. Earlier we saw the connection to the other places that were singing the national anthem, one of which was the Mazu Gantry, the other was the Coast Guard base in Kaohsiung as well. And I like to point out that the Kaohsiung formation, they were formed in a double 10 formation. And as you can see up on there is the flag as well as the portrait of founding father Sun Yat-sen. And the flags have been laid out to salute. And now we're going to move into the chairperson, Legislative Speaker Yoshi Quinn's speech, and Betty will be giving you simultaneous interpretation. Thank you, Betty.
His Excellency, President of Liao, Sarangao Whips, Excellencies, Ambassadors and Honorable Representatives, parliamentarians from around the world, the congratulatory delegation from Japan's Diet, overseas compatriot, our servicemen and servicewomen, our fighters to defend Taiwan's health, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Mali Mali Masali, greetings. Now Speaker Yo is saying hello in different languages, in different dialects. Today marks the 111th National Day celebration of the Republic of China. First, on behalf of the National Day Organizing Committee, I would like to extend a warm welcome to you all. I believe that all of you are as pleased as I am, because jointly we face COVID-19. Over the past 3 years, we're under the impact, but finally, we can gradually live a normal life. We have taken a step forward. Indeed, God bless Taiwan. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to all of the service, police, disease prevention staff. You have my highest respect. I want to thank you for your tireless effort day and night to safeguard our people and to defend our country. Because of you, our people can continue to thrive despite the threat from our bad neighbor. Because of you, our people can live a safe and happy life. Because of you, our people can be here today and to organize the National Day celebration of a large scale. Now, please put your hands together to show our deepest appreciation to each and every one. Thank you very much. After 3 turnover of political parties, with the joint efforts of all people, our democracy and economic results have been seen by the international community. According to the Economist BIU report, according to the 2021 Democracy Index, released this February, among 176 countries and regions, Taiwan ranked 8th in the world, the highest in Asia. On top of that, also in February of this year, the human rights organization Freedom House published the 2022 Global Freedom Index. Taiwan is a free country, and we got a score of 94. Ranking 17th along with Iceland in the world. In July of this year, our Legislative Yuan ranked 2nd in Asia. And in last year's National Day, we have the Democracy Alliance and forging friendship with the world. That was the theme. By trying to forge alliance with the world. So even non-diplomatic allies like the US, Japan, France, Sweden, Lithuania, Slovakia, Germany, and Czech Republic, as well as the European Parliament. Totally 246 parliamentarians have visited Taiwan over the past year. And this year we have seen greater visit from our friendly countries. So they have forged greater alliance. So we have seen greater support from democracies in the world. For example, by the end of last year, former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe stressed that Taiwan's emergency is Japan's emergency. So that means the emergency for the Japan-US alliance. US President Joe Biden once again reiterated that the US government will continue to fulfill its solemn commitment to Taiwan. This year, our theme is defending the nation together. So we sincerely hope that this can be the vision for the 23 million people of Taiwan. I hope that there will never be wars in the world. But peace comes with a price. In order to deter any threat or coercion for Taiwan, it is vital for us to prepare ourselves, but we never seek war. We need to strengthen our national defense and to strengthen our self-defense capabilities so that no other countries will never try to invade us. Early this year, Russia invaded Ukraine. So this is such a sudden event. It's like a thunder in spring, waking up the animals which are hibernating and waking up many people in the world, especially democracies. In comparison, China remains silent about Russia's aggression. But the contrast is the support from democracies to Ukraine has continued to thrive and boom. So you can see the mushrooming of support from democracies. However, the warrior wolves continue to roar in the international community. Many democracies have achieved unity to support Taiwan, to support our democracy, and to support freedom and the free and democratic Taiwan. This July, we received the invitation by Lithuania, France, and Czech Republic. So I led a cross-party delegation to visit these three countries. So I had a formal visit. So I was warmly received. And the treatment was just like countries that we have formal diplomatic allies. And all of the parliamentarians have not only recognized Taiwan's democracy and resilience, in addition, they also show great support for Taiwan facing the great bully and pressure. But we can still have outstanding economic and technology achievements. All these examples let me know that despite the fact that different countries speak different languages, they have different cultures and customs, but it is easy for us to understand each other. This is because we all believe in freedom and democracy. These are the universal values that bring us together. On behalf of the Legislative Yuan, I would like to express my deepest appreciation to our people. I want to thank all the Taiwanese people for creating the democratic achievements. I would like to thank our diplomats in the forefront. Thank you for your hard work for fighting for Taiwan. I also want to thank President Tsai Ing-wen for her outstanding leadership so that the free and democratic Taiwan can move forward with confidence. Taiwan is lauded as an example of democracy. But I would like to mention one thing. When facing the advanced democracies, I feel that I am a bit embarrassed I think we can do better. Because at this moment, among 193 members of the United Nations, 182 member states provide voting rights to citizens above the age of 18. Only 11 have not done so. But Taiwan is in the rank among these other 11 countries. In order to follow the global trend, in March of this year, the Legislative Yuan, despite political parties and differences, we jointly passed the resolution to allow the voting right for people over the age of 18. 109 legislators appeared, and every one of them voted yes to this resolution. Since 2005 until now, in the last 17 years, we have passed the amendment to our Constitution. And by the end of this year, we will need to have the vote by our public. And after that, we can complete the amendment to our Constitution. This is the implementation of generational justice, and this is our mission. I would like to call upon all of the people in Taiwan. On October 26th of today, we definitely have to come out to vote. We need to support the voting right of people under the age of 18. We should get everyone, your neighbors, your brothers and sisters, your family members, we should come out and vote to support the voting right for people aged over 18. At this critical juncture, we do see the younger generation fighting in the front line. It is vital for us to have reforms. Mr. Jiang Weishui, at the age of 31, established the Taiwan Cultural Association, opening up the renaissance for Taiwan's revolution in culture. Dai He, at the age of 27, joined the League of Jiang Weishui, and also he joined the social movement. He devoted his life to realize the goal. So, these are the important goals they uphold. They have become, they gathered a generation of young people who have visions and ideals to pursue freedom and democracy for Taiwan and laid a solid foundation for Taiwan's strong democratic development in the future. Young people are the future of Taiwan. So this will be the greatest national defense. Defending the nation together, this is our shared responsibility for democracies in the world. We see greater support for Taiwan, and Taiwan is facing the bully and coercion from China all the time. It is vital for us to enhance our self-defense capability and to support young people to join politics, and we need to have the root of Taiwan's democracy to grow stronger. Once again, I would like to thank all sectors of the society for your support for the freedom and democracy of Taiwan. I would like to wish the ROC Taiwan everlasting prosperity. May we enjoy long-lasting friendship with our allies. May you all enjoy good health and prosperity and successful career. Thank you very much.
And that was the speech by Legislative Speaker Yeo Shi-kun. And Betty, how easy was that for you? You danced right through that. Anyway, guys, that was the Legislative Speaker Yeo Shi-kun's speech, and Betty did an incredible job. How easy was that for you, Betty? You got to tell me.
I did my homework.
You danced right through it. Anyway, guys, coming up next is President Tsai Ing-wen's speech. That is the main event. But don't go away. We're going to come back right after a commercial break.
今天台湾人要了解的是，我们跟这片土地关系里面，它是跟你的生命的根源息息相关。像这个红块、扁柏等等，他们都是台湾的神明。长期以来，我一直误以为我在抢救山林，直到最近10年来，我才了解，我从来没有抢救山林，而是山林从来在抢救我们。我们的地球46亿年来，我们就是它的一部分，它就是我们共同的灵魂，流传在我的血液中，也流动在树叶当中。
这是我们台湾人要送给台湾的礼物。
我们都清楚，我们都在一起，在完成一件事情。
这是我们的根。这是我们台湾人要送给台湾的礼物。
我们都清楚，我们都在一起，在完成一件事情。
这是我们的根。
For more stories from around the world and from right here in Changhua County, Taiwan, visit www.taiwanplus.com. Right? He says moo.
Today, 台湾人要了解的是，我们跟这片土地关系里面，它是跟你的生命的根源息息相关。像这个红块、扁柏等等，他们都是台湾的神明。长期以来，我一直误以为我在抢救山林，直到最近10年来，我才了解，我从来没有抢救山林，而是山林从来在抢救我们。我们的地球46亿年来，我们就是它的一部分，它就是我们共同的灵魂，流传在我的血液中，也流动在树叶当中。
Welcome back. You're watching the TaiwanPlus National Day Special. I'm Betty Chen.
And I'm Leslie Liao, coming to you live from Taipei, Taiwan on our brand new 24-hour TV channel. Let's go to the presidential office where National Day ceremony is underway. Currently, right now happening is the speech from the overseas representative. And this is something that is distinctly Taiwanese, actually, yes. Betty, because during national days in other countries, you don't really get to hear from people who are overseas, right? Like during National Day or during the 4th of July in the United States, you rarely ever hear about someone, you know, who emigrated abroad and just saying, hey, well, let's have a representative there. But Taiwan's overseas community is very involved in Taiwan right now. You know, they will come back to vote because Taiwan does not have an absentee voting system. So they come back to vote. And not just that, but they're also very involved. Some of the biggest contributors to Taiwan are the overseas community. And we're hearing right now from the overseas compatriot who has been selected. Each year it's a different person, so it's not like there's the head of the Overseas Compatriot Council. They will rotate and just see who it is. Let's talk really quickly about what's coming up next, and that's the president's address. So the president's address, it looks like it's over right now. The president's going to enter the National Day ceremony. Just to give you a preview, the theme of her speech apparently is a better Taiwan for the world. It is an island of resilience is what it is. And they are inviting the president to come into the ceremonial grounds right now. And it looks like she's being led in by a drumming troupe. Traditionally, what happens is the speaker will go and invite the president to come in, correct?
Right.
Okay. And that was the National Day tribute, and following that will be the President's address. Now, that tribute was done by the Taiwan National Choir and National Taipei University of Education Department of Music Choir. So we're seeing right now are the sign language interpreters that have been doing the National Day ceremony interpretation. And now President Tsai Ing-wen is making her entrance into the ceremony. Everybody's been asked to stand. All rise. And following next to her is David Lee, who is the National Security Advisor, and we also have Speaker Yeo Shi-kun. And once again, as President Tsai Ing-wen takes the podium, Betty Chen will be giving you simultaneous interpretation.
National Day celebration chairperson Yeo Shi-kun, President Surang Gawon Jr. of the Republic of Liao, distinguished guests, dear friends, my fellow citizens watching on TV and online, good morning. Today is the 111th National Day of the Republic of China and the 73rd National Day since the Republic of China government relocated to Taiwan. For more than 2 years now, fighting COVID-19 has been our country's greatest challenge. This is why I want to begin my remarks today by thanking all my fellow citizens who have worked hard for our pandemic response and have helped one another through this difficult period. Each of you has played a heroic role in these efforts. The atmosphere on this National Day is very different from that of the past 2 years. In 3 days, border restrictions will be loosened, and Taiwan will resume normal exchanges with other countries around the globe. This step also signifies that we're emerging from the shadow of the pandemic and moving toward life as normal. For more than 2 years, the COVID-19 pandemic has deeply affected the whole world. We remember and grieve our fellow citizens who have passed away due to the pandemic. Their passing reminds us that there will always be room for us to do better. But thanks to your cooperation and solidarity in looking out for one another, Taiwan's pandemic prevention efforts have earned global recognition in comparison with many other countries. As we have brought the pandemic under control, Taiwan has enjoyed stable economic growth. That, together with our development strategies directed toward innovation and transformation, has helped resolve our long-standing economic stagnation. As most economies around the world slowed, Taiwan grew at a rate of 6.57% in 2021, our best performance in recent years. This year's International Institute for Management Development World Competitiveness Yearbook also ranked Taiwan 7th worldwide for competitiveness, and for the total R&D personnel per capita, we rank first. The fruits of Taiwan's economic development have also been reflected in our public revenues. In each of the 4 years since 2018, our central government has recorded annual budget surpluses of more than 100 billion NT dollars, and last year the figure reached 300 billion NT dollars. The stability of our public finances has in turn given us more resources to invest in infrastructure, boost scientific research, strengthen national defense, and construct a more well-rounded social safety net. These accomplishments were possible because of the work of all our fellow citizens. As President, I want to thank all our guests and leaders from across the Taiwanese society here in Taiwan. I want to thank the 23 million people in Taiwan for your participation in our democracy and contributions to our nation. Instead of holding us back, the pandemic has helped the world see Taiwan's resilience. Not only did we manage the spread of COVID-19, we helped Taiwan to take a step forward and make our country a better place. But just as in baseball, being able to turn one inning around does not mean that the next one will be a walk in the park. Having come through the outbreak of the virus, we know that our next challenge will be even greater, requiring a calm and collective response. The post-pandemic world order is in a state of rapid change. Countries across Europe and Americas are suffering from inflation and a resulting economic downturn. While inflation in Taiwan is still at a controllable level, we must nevertheless prepare for the developments that might be triggered by a global economic contraction. At the same time, global supply chains are still undergoing restructuring. Though Taiwan already holds a key position in the fields of semiconductor and information and communications technology, hardware and software, we must quickly catch up in other fields to ensure our strong footing. In addition, disasters caused by extreme weather events remind us that we must build mechanisms for rapid response. Aside from economic developments, we still need to face another challenge. That is, Russia continues to have war against Ukraine and China's military activities in the South China Sea, East China Sea, and the Taiwan Strait. All these undermine peace and stability in the Indo-Pacific region. We absolutely cannot ignore the challenge that these military expansions pose to the free and democratic world order. These developments are inextricably connected with Taiwan. With Taiwan being a part of this changing landscape, we cannot leave things to chance. Instead, we must stand up for our democracy and prepare prudently and sufficiently to respond to any possible contingency. Looking back, we can see that we were able to weather the challenges of the pandemic precisely because of Taiwan's resilience. Over the remaining 2 years of my term, we will continue to resolutely uphold our 4 commitments. We will also enhance the resilience of our 4 key areas: our economy and industry, social safety net, free and democratic government system, and national defense. The work of making the ROC Taiwan a more resilient country is now our most important national development priority. The foremost task in creating a more resilient country is building a resilient economy and industry that can stand firm amid global headwinds and adapt to global changes. The most pressing of such economic trends are global inflation and a resulting financial contraction, which have introduced a heightened risk of an economic downturn and financial instability. To control inflation and ensure the stability of our people's livelihoods, we're managing these issues at a source and working to stabilize the prices of water, electricity, oil, natural gas, and other staples and critical raw materials, extending every effort to reduce overall price fluctuations. We have also strengthened our mechanisms for responding to instability in financial markets. Through effective policies and government spending, we will boost our investments in next-generation infrastructure and talent cultivation, creating more job opportunities and upholding our economic growth momentum. In terms of industrial development, we must respond forcefully to the accelerating restructuring of global supply chains. We must speed up our efforts to promote the development of our 6 core strategic industries. while continuing to consolidate our advantages in the semiconductor sector. I want to specifically emphasize one point to my fellow citizens and the international community, which is that the concentration of the semiconductor sector in Taiwan is not a risk, but is the key to the reorganization of the global semiconductor industry. We will continue to maintain Taiwan's advantages and capacity in leading-edge semiconductor manufacturing processes and will help optimize the worldwide restructuring of the semiconductor supply chain, giving our semiconductor firms an even more prominent global role. To improve our ability to respond to economic shocks, we will also work to ensure the security of our critical infrastructure so that in a case of any emergency, we will still be able to maintain the normal functioning of our industrial sector and society through the effective allocation and stable supply of key goods, and to further integrate with the international community. We are comprehensively pursuing cooperation and exchanges with new southbound policy countries and the states across the Indo-Pacific as well as in Central and Eastern Europe. Through collaboration in cutting-edge technologies, reciprocal investments, financial support, and other means, we are building more resilient global supply chains and distribution networks. Moreover, we will keep in steps with the global effort to respond to extreme weather events. This past March, we published Taiwan's pathway to net zero emissions in 2050 and sent a draft of our Climate Change Response Act to the Legislative Yuan for review. This is about more than Taiwan's promises to the international community, and it is our collective responsibility to future generations. Being a resilient nation is not just about being able to address economic risk. Social resilience is equally important. A resilient society needs to be built upon a foundation of economic equality. These past few years, we have raised salaries, cut taxes, and increased benefits to reduce the burden on our people, putting into practice our commitment to care for disadvantaged groups. Strengthening and building out our social safety net has been a focus of our policy implementation. We continue to increase our emergency response, rescue, and healthcare capabilities as we hope to provide our citizens with more comprehensive care. Over the past 2 years and more of fighting the pandemic, we have seen that members of Taiwan's Medical and Public Health Network demonstrate their experience and ability in responding to crisis. Let me take this opportunity to ask you all once again to give our nation's hardworking healthcare workers a big round of applause. To further enhance our resilience and better respond to future challenges, we will work to maintain sufficient medical staffing levels while increasing reserve capacity at hospitals. We will continue to strengthen emergency response systems across our healthcare network, improving Taiwan's ability to address all potential health risks. Earthquakes are a common occurrence in Taiwan. Over the past few years, our government has been rebuilding and renovating schools, bridges, and roads to enhance their earthquake resistance and strengthen the resilience of our public infrastructure. To respond to sudden disasters, we will also consolidate our nation's emergency shelter resources, bolster our civil disaster preparedness and evacuation capabilities, and raise the public's mental resilience so that they can respond promptly and calmly in the face of disaster. To address the challenges of low birth rate and an aging society, we have significantly and consistently increased annual spending on social services in an all-out effort to build a friendlier environment for raising children. We have also increased birth subsidies and childcare allowances and have significantly expanded the availability of affordable childcare and preschools. We have rapidly expanded long-term care services and put forward plans to deal with the super-aging trend. We're actively building social housing, promoting our subletting management schemes, expanding rent subsidies, raising employment injury insurance coverage and protections, and improving the insurance and pension system for citizens in the agriculture and fishery sectors. They're all part of our efforts to look after after every group in need. In addition, we continue to put resources towards setting up community mental health centers, where we're adding staff and developing services tailored to local communities so that our citizens can find their help they need where they need it. Social welfare spending in this year's budget is over 600 billion NT dollars and will exceed 700 billion NT dollars, setting an all-time high, continually strengthening our social safety net and ensuring help for all who need it is a duty that our government must fulfill. Aside from the issues of national governance, building democratic resilience is key to safeguarding Taiwan. Our primary task in this regard is to make our commitment to a free and democratic system an unbreakable national consensus. In a democratic society, we can have different positions and we can debate with one another, but we should unanimously and resolutely stand behind our free and democratic system, no matter how much external pressure we face. Next to that is the task of improving transparency and our ability to identify disinformation. Taiwan is one of the countries most targeted by information warfare, a non-traditional security threat that persistently interferes with the functioning of our democratic system. In facing infiltration and attempts at a sabotage by external forces, we must respond with a more transparent and democratic approach. For instance, during the pandemic, the regular press conferences held by our Central Epidemic Command Center have helped our public stay on top of the latest information to reduce panic and prevent disinformation from affecting public confidence in our pandemic response. Going forward, we will continue to strengthen fact-checking mechanisms targeting disinformation, enhance the transparency and accessibility of information, and help our people more effectively distinguish fact from fiction to neutralize the threat of information warfare. The other part of work is to continue deepening Taiwan's international cooperation and close ties with diplomatic allies, as the expansion of authoritarianism has gradually come to threaten the global order. Friends from across the world have traveled to Taiwan to express their heartwarming support. In fact, Taiwan is now receiving more international attention than ever before. The ROC Taiwan has become an important global symbol of democracy and freedom. The international community fully understands that upholding Taiwan's security means upholding regional stability and democratic values. The destruction of Taiwan's democracy and freedom would be a grave defeat for the world's democracies. Our democracy is not just about defining Taiwan's international role for the rest of the world. It is our core strategy for strengthening Taiwan's social resilience. Over the past few years, we have stepped up defense reforms and increased our defense budget each year in order to strengthen our national defense capabilities and resilience. Through our actions, we're sending a message to the world that Taiwan will take responsibility for our own self-defense, that we will not leave anything to fate, and that we will work with our allies to jointly maintain security and stability in the region. As part of this effort, we are ramping up the mass production of precision missiles and high-performance naval vessels. In addition, we are working to acquire various small, highly mobile precision weapons that will help us develop comprehensive asymmetric warfare capabilities, ensuring that Taiwan is fully prepared to respond to external military threats. Our domestic efforts to build aircraft and ships have achieved significant results in recent years, with our indigenous submarine project also progressing as planned. Just 2 weeks ago, Taiwan's first domestically developed and constructed 10,000-ton landing platform Dock Yushan was officially delivered. And just earlier, you saw our Brave Eagle advanced jet trainer flying overhead. These are the results of our concerted efforts to enhance our military capabilities. I want to thank all of our military personnel for working with us to overcome all manners of challenges and for making hard-earned progress in advancing our defense self-sufficiency. To ensure that our national defense is truly comprehensive, we also established the All-Out Defense Mobilization Agency to bolster our military training capacity and refine our reserve program, increasing the readiness of our reservists by giving them access to equipment and weaponry, similar to that used by our active duty troops. Forming a military force that can effectively respond to the demands of modern warfare and building an overall mobilization capability that integrates the military and the public are issues that demand our immediate attention. We must ensure that our preparations, supplies, and personnel can be resiliently, accurately, and promptly deployed to address any situation, whether in times of peace, disaster, or war. Or most importantly, we must all rally around a common purpose and broaden public awareness of our self-defense needs. Protecting our territory and safeguarding our nation has never been the work of the military alone. Every citizen is a guardian of our nation. In recent times, we have seen Taiwanese of all ages and gender, including young parents, senior citizens, and students without military experience, take it upon themselves to participate in classes on community defense, including first aid and information awareness. This is the true meaning of collective participation in national defense. Peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait is the basis for the development of cross-strait relations. It is regrettable that in recent years, the Beijing authorities' escalation of their military intimidations, diplomatic pressure, trade obstructions, and attempts to erase the sovereignty of the ROC Taiwan have threatened the status quo of peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait and the region. During the past 73 years, the people of Taiwan have lived and grown together on this land and have formed our own strong sense of identity and belonging. The broadest consensus among the Taiwanese people and our various political parties is that we must defend our national sovereignty and our free and democratic way of life. On this point, we have no room for compromise. The differences between the two sides of the strait stem from historical factors, as well as from our divergent experiences in democratic development. The Beijing authorities should not make any misjudgment on account of Taiwan's vigorous democratic system. They must not mistake that there's room for compromise in the Taiwanese people's commitment to democracy and freedom, and thus attempt to divide Taiwanese society by exploiting the fierce competition between our political parties. This way of thinking and acting is of no benefit to cross-strait ties and will only push our two sides further from each other. I want to make clear to Beijing authorities that armed confrontation is absolutely not an option for both sides. Only by respecting the commitment of the Taiwanese people to our sovereignty, democracy, and freedom can there be a foundation for resuming constructive interactions across the Taiwan Strait. We look forward to the gradual resumption of healthy and orderly cross-strait people-to-people exchanges after the loosening of border restrictions on both sides, thereby easing tensions in the Taiwan Strait. Provided there is rationality, equality, and mutual respect, we're willing to work with the Beijing authorities to find a mutually agreeable agreement for upholding peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait. This is our shared responsibility. My fellow citizens, the greatest duty for all of us living on this land is to do everything we can to give the next generation a better country, to give the world a better Taiwan. Greater economic growth for Taiwan means more complete and resilient global supply chains. A more secure Taiwan means a more peaceful and prosperous region and the world. And a more democratic Taiwan means a stronger global democratic alliance. This is the years-long road we have traveled from darker time to a brighter future. Though it has been a difficult road, those difficulties have shown us what it means to be Taiwanese and have helped us see what Taiwan means to the world. Today's Taiwan is democratic, free, prosperous, and culturally diverse. Not only has Taiwan become a focus of global attention, but our people have come together around a shared determination to safeguard our homeland. Today, saying, "I am Taiwanese," is a statement of honor and an expression of pride. My fellow citizens, we are all family. Let us stand on a world stage with courage, determination, and confidence. Let us make Taiwan a Taiwan of the world, and let us give the world an even better Taiwan. I wish all the best to the Republic of China. I wish all the best to Taiwan. Thank you.
And thank you for that incredible simultaneous interpretation, Betty. Why don't you take a break for a little bit? I think you've earned it.
You can take over now.
Yes, I will. And now President Tsai Ing-wen has taken her speech, her seat at the ceremony, and then there will be ceremonial music, and then followed by a helicopter flyover.
恭请大会主席尤锡坤先生至主席台前就位。
So now, Legislative Speaker Yoshi-kun, Chairperson Yoshi-kun, is taking the podium again to allow the ceremony to proceed. And now this is the ceremonial music. Let's take a listen. Confetti cannons.
军联合乐队暨三军一队为我们平照主席台。乐仪队，请离场。 接下来我们即将看到的是号称地表最强的 AH-641阿帕奇。
And now the hosts are introducing the helicopter flyover. This year's flyover is done by the Army Aviation and Special Forces Command.
成为世界上最可怕的坦克杀手。
So these are 5 Apache helicopters, and the host just said, I believe there's the 5th one. I believe what they said is these are tank destroyers, is what he called them. And these, like I said, this flyover is being conducted by the Army Aviation and Special Forces Command. In Chinese, in short, we call them 航特部队, which means Aviation Special Forces Unit.
即便大家演出的经验丰富，对于在国家生日的这一天表演，仍然是战战兢兢。
今年的7、8月特别。
Taiwan is actually very proud of their Apaches. We have some great pilots, and probably just about a month or 2 ago, the Aviation Special Forces Command, they actually had a widely publicized exercise. Now, here it comes as they fly over the presidential office.
请大家看向总统府正上方。 请大家为我们的飞行员及机队掌声鼓励。
Probably we should make a movie like Top Gun, the Taiwanese version.
Oh yeah, that's the ones that did the earlier flyover.
Right.
That is the equivalent of Taiwan's Top Gun. They are the training academy of the Taiwan's Air Force.
大家好，我是大道奈绪，父亲来自日本静冈，妈妈是台中人。
那爱好，大家早安，大家好。
And let's just hit into a quick commercial break. We'll be right back after this message.
In a changing world, when voices are being silenced, TaiwanPlus is listening. We tell those stories. No compromise, no boundaries,
people in Taiwan.
no fear.
I want to study Chinese. I'm Ryan Kilpatrick. Capital Taipei. TaiwanPlus.
TaiwanPlus News.
Welcome back. You're watching the TaiwanPlus National Day Special. I'm Betty Chen.
And I'm Leslie Liao, coming to you live from the TaiwanPlus studio in Taipei. We're joined now in the studio by Albert Chiu, who is a political science professor at Donghai University. Professor Chiu, welcome to the show.
Thank you for joining us.
It's my honor to be here.
Absolutely. So let's just start off really quickly with the first question that we have. We heard about President Tsai Ing-wen's speech. What's the main takeaway this year from her national address?
Well, actually, I guess there are several points that, to my perspective, that worth our attention. Number one is we have to take care of the sequence of the topics. From the very first point to the 6th points, in sequence, it was about moving Taiwan forward in the face of pandemic. That's the first priority. That means that we as a Taiwanese need to move beyond the pandemic age. And the second is the next challenge, building a resilient nation. inflation and financial crackdown, I mean the contraction, was important to her too.
All right, this is really important, but now we're having a very interesting performance.
Oh, yeah.
This is the Kyoto Tachibana Senior High School Marching Band. And this is a world-renowned high school level marching band. They've performed at the Champion of Roses at in Pasadena. And then you see right there they have 日台友情 on their instrument right there.
Friendship between Japan and
Friendship
Taiwan.
between Japan and Taiwan. Now, I'd like to ask you really quickly, tying into this, Professor Cho, Japan has always shared very friendly ties with Taiwan.
Right.
Absolutely. And the Japanese lawmakers are here, but that's nothing new. In the past weeks, we've even seen even stronger ties with Japan. We've had the words, a Taiwanese contingency is a Japanese contingency.
Right.
Now, what can we take away from just a simple marching band coming to Taiwan? Is there more to decipher from this in terms of a deeper Japanese-Taiwanese relation?
Right, the alliance between Taiwan and Japan has been historical, right? I mean, we were, colonized by the Japanese emperor several decades ago, and even after that, many older generation Taiwanese, they had the education from Japan. And now you see the marching band, the school band from Japan. These kids are really active and also very generous to offer what they have in Japan, in Taiwan. And that really suggests that, both countries share a bond of what I call the soft power.
Yes.
Instead of a weapon or like military, equipment and things like that. So I think that's walking, both countries, Taiwan and Japan, walking in the right direction that we do not want to provoke, especially countries like China. What we do is we share the value of democracy. We want to work on the same theme together with many advanced democracies in the world. Yeah.
Very well said, Professor. And as you can see on the screen, these girls, they're not just playing the musical instrument. What's so impressive is that they also have choreography. Like they're dancing, they're playing the musical instruments, and at the same time, they still have to look at each other to ensure that they have the right formation and footwork. So that is really hard work.
Yeah,
so from what I saw, that they will have to train. At least they will have to be able to stand with one leg up for 3 minutes and play the musical instrument just with one leg up. Can you do that?
I can. I don't even know an instrument. So like we said, this is the Kyoto Tachibana Senior High School Band, one of the best high school bands in Japan, if not the world. And they are wearing their signature orange uniforms. And because that is the name of the school, Tachibana. And they're fondly known as the Orange Devils. But I don't really think that. I look at them perform and I'm like, they're not devils. They're very highly choreographed, highly proficient high school instruments.
Okay.
And that was the Kyoto Tachibana Senior High School Band. Now, their motto is full of energy, full of smiles, full of dreams. Now, do you think they embodied that, Betty?
What a wonderful performance. I think we're all so impressed by their excellent performance. The formation, the footwork, everything's so complicated.
I don't think I saw a single frown in that
and
crowd.
Their lovely smiles. Just love their lovely smiles.
Give you more of an idea of just how impressive this marching band is. They won gold prize at the All Japan Band Competition last year, and they have performed with stars and on TV. And the band hopes that everyone will be able to sparkle and shine in life through music, and that they will become a group beloved by one and all. I think
you can see our distinguished guests like President Tsai, Vice President William Lai. They're all standing up to show how much they enjoyed the performance. I also read from the news during their rehearsals, President Tsai personally asked someone to send bubble tea and Taiwanese cake, traditional cake, as dessert for these
they're
students.
in Taiwan. What else are they going to do?
They have to try our delicious food.
They did play the Super Mario music,
Mario,
which they won me over with that.
So cute.
By itself.
Very Japanese.
Very
right?
Japanese, and one of my favorites.
Yes.
I'm so impressed with how in formation they are.
They're just such a huge sensation in Taiwan, and it's good that they have exchanges with Taiwan's high school students as well.
And as our guest Professor Cho said, this is a demonstration of Taiwan's willingness to work together using soft power. And this is probably the soft power portion, but now we're coming to following the band, I believe, is the members of Japan's Parliamentary Friendship Group with Taiwan, led by lawmaker Keiji Furuya.
Yes.
Sorry, there we go. And he is a cross-party group. This is a cross-party group of Japanese lawmakers. Betty, do you want to tell us more about this?
Sure. So this group actually was established in 1973 in the National Diet of Japan. So that was about 50 years ago. And right now it has more than 260 parliamentarians. And the council plays a key role in promoting exchanges between Taiwan and Japan. And they actually, this year is not the first time they joined the National Day celebration. Back in 2019, that was the first time for them to join the National Day parade. And Chairman Keiji Furuya is a good friend of Taiwan and has led a council in adopting multiple resolutions supporting Taiwan's participation in the World Health Assembly and also inclusion in the CPTPP. So speaking in Taiwanese in a high-level meeting during a recent visit to Taiwan, actually I don't speak Taiwanese that well. I don't think Leslie does, but Chairman Furuya said in Taiwanese, a Taiwan emergency is a Japanese emergency. That shows how much he supports Taiwan. So his participation this year is a sign of the deep friendship between the two countries. So maybe we can ask Professor, what do you think of the recent, will there be any important breakthroughs? We know that a close friend of Taiwan, Prime Minister Abe, passed away very unfortunately this year. Will there be any major breakthroughs in terms of the Taiwan-Japan relations?
And this is a great question because right now the Japanese lawmakers
Chairman
are joining.
They're coming up, yeah.
Also raising the flags.
Yeah. I do think that there's a growing relationship between Taiwan and Japan in terms of not only political breakthrough, because in the past you know that our international space has been pretty much cut down or decreased by the Chinese authority. But now, given the fact that since 2016, when Donald Trump was in the office and then Biden took office, and it's not really, the ball is not in the hand of Taiwanese, but it's actually in the hands of the Chinese authority, but they ruin it to me. So that means that we have this spontaneous space that's opened up by United States and also other advanced democracy in Europe. And we are pretty much passively take this opportunity to develop that. And part of the game is Japan. Japan can help us with that. So I think, it's good that we can start out our relationship between Japan and Taiwan from the soft power, as we just see from the school band from Japan. But also, I think that we can talk more about economic exchange between Japan and Taiwan. And further, we have the soft conflict between Japan and Taiwan regarding the EEZ zone, right? I mean, those kind of business or fishery interests that Taiwan and Japan sometimes would have conflict with each other. So I think that's important for us to resolve that conflict. I know that in recent days, just a couple of days before, that there was a ship our Coast Guard had a conflict with the Japanese ship in the eastern part of Taiwan, the ocean, right? So I think that's the priority that we have to solve with Japan.
Now, really quickly, before we get back to you, Professor Cho, as you know, the theme of this year's National Day is defending the country together, and TaiwanPlus reporter Rick Glaude is on location at the presidential office building. He spoke with some performers and audience members to gauge the temperature, so we're going to go into that bite really quickly right now.
台湾人是非常和善的，台湾人很 nice。为什么要有一个这么可怕、这么像恶魔、这么流氓的邻居在那里？
我希望，大家可以讨论出一个最和平、不会两败俱伤的一个办法。
中国有一天如果真的打过来，台湾人民绝对会站出来保卫我们的领土。
我想这个就是我们征求国际支持跟友人之间，大家有一个对于民主自由的共同理念的支持，我觉得这个是非常好的。
Now joining us once again in the studio is Professor Albert Cho from Donghai University, and he is Professor Cho. Could you just speak to that bite really quickly? There seems to be a lot more spotlight on the potential conflict between Taiwan and China. And we see people at the presidential office, they were speaking to that about how Taiwan doesn't want it. Is there a rising sentiment in defending Taiwan as this year's theme outlines?
Right. We are very fortunate to see today in the national celebrity, the events, that we see a lot of people coming together, not only in Taiwan, but also from other countries to talk about the security and also the international isolation we experienced in the past in the events. And different from past, simply different from 4 years ago, the same National Day events, that today we really garner a lot more support from the international society. Part of the reason for that is because of the Ukrainian-Russia war. And that really brought Taiwan to the attention of the world. That Taiwan is not an easy democracy, but we did it, we hate it, and we are having it still now. And that we have to continue our democracy, but it is nearly unlikely or impossible without any help from the foreign powers, especially strong powers like the United States or European countries. So we do see the momentum out there that we did not see before. And we really have to seize the opportunity to do something. For example, the high-level visit between the United States and Taiwan, and even between Japan and Taiwan, we have to institutionalize those kind of high-level visits. We make sure that those powers, those important countries, they can make laws on the basis of the exchange and institutionalize that type of exchange in their domestic society. And that's very important to us to do. And we had made some progress already. United States, especially we see the President Biden and his administration, even he sometimes is pretty reserved about the high-level visit. For example, the Speaker Nancy Pelosi, when she came over, and there was some kind of voice in the D.C. saying that probably this is not a good way to do because it's going to provoke China. But still, Nancy Pelosi insists that her visit is totally legit. She can go anywhere she's welcomed, especially in Taiwan, in such a democracy. So I think we have opened up, like what I said, we did not seek this. We did not do this actively, even though we did this passively, but that's still a gift for us, and we have to do something more on this.
So leading us through this transitionary period you're talking about was President Tsai Ing-wen, and she is the one who has been overseeing National Day for years now, and I think the motif has mostly been the same. We had Proud of Taiwan, and then we had Taiwan's a power for good. But this year we have Defending Taiwan, and let's go back to the speech, which is the mainstay of this ceremony. What other observations can you tell us about that we need to take note of? What can we take away from here, and what's most important that we need to take away from here?
Okay, I kind of pick up from what I just left. The first priority we have to kind of look at is the sequence of the topics. We did not see the topic against China until the very last of her speech. That was not until the fifth point that she mentioned, upgrading our national defense and uniting behind a common purpose. That's number one. That to me signals some kind of friendliness to China, at least that we as a country, as a smaller country, much smaller than China, of course, that we do not seek conflict or we are not very aggressive against you unless you do something to us. And also President Tsai also mentioned that there is no room for compromise. If China wants to use some kind of naive or bullying kind of term to offer to Taiwan, for example, one country, two systems, that's not accepted by Taiwanese people. And second, that when we look at the shoring, well, actually, she mentioned that we have to strengthen our national defense, right? And one thing I did notice that she kind of did not mention the conscription, the enlist system that many people call her to recover. She did not touch that part. I guess that part is still under the table, still during the negotiation between Taiwan and the United States. That's the second thing I noticed. And also, she talked about send the signal, the joint responsibility. She mentioned that too. So that means that the strait across the the peace across the Taiwan Strait is not simply our responsibility, but it's simultaneously bilateral. Okay, both involving Taiwan and China, both parties, both countries have to come together to talk about that possibility. I personally believe that President Tsai Ing-wen, she herself might want to talk to President Xi Jinping, either directly or indirectly. and that might be in her hope. But the problem is because of the occurrence, the outbreak of the Ukraine-Russia war, that pretty much kind of diminished that possibility. So that's kind of pity for her. That's to my interpretation. But anyway, I do see that the whole speech is tough. But even in the toughness of the tone of the speech, we can still see a little bit signal of the friendliness or try to soften or ease the tension between Taiwan and China. I think that's not only in the hope of President Tsai, but also in the hope of President Biden and even for the Prime Minister of Japan.
Thank you very much, Professor Chiu. And now we're going to turn our attention to the main event. We can see these Taiwanese street dancers. They're from Taiwan Street Dance Association and Mugen Company Limited. It's the Japanese for Unlimited. And also you see the girls performing the music. They're from the Stella Matutinas High School Marching Band. So they work together to put up this performance.
And I'd like to point out once again, they are arranged in the double 10 formation.
由 HRC Studio 张怡老师带领，以 R&B 结合 Hip Hop 曲风，展现90年代的舞感风格。
管乐队也加入简单的动作与队形排列，一段音乐展现2种表演，代表着台湾不同面向，包含庄重与活力。
青春洋溢的学子们排出箭头队形，以重低音的声波共振做出渐层效果，呼应台上舞者要让所有的观众锁定目光，一同享受国家庆典的祝贺跟喜悦。随着时代的演变，街舞从单一的舞蹈形式结合了新时代的重拍节奏与多变技巧，到现在大家所看到的新潮嘻哈舞风。
现在舞台上是由 Magica 舞团 Rex 老师所带领，以现代流行的电子乐搭配具有速度感的震撼舞风，带来爆发性强烈的视觉感受。
赛的来了，演舞者帅气的剪刀脚突翻，要震慑大家的眼球。
学子们以机械舞渐层排列，展现电子音波效果，搭配台上多变的舞蹈技巧，丰富而且多层次。接着是由高难度技巧的霹雳舞常胜军、反土艺术及 Flying Space 所带来的演出。
舞者将人引体上抛，象征台湾将会一飞冲天，站上国际舞台。管乐队也以圆形队伍围绕，搭配音乐吹奏，就像我们台湾人民的团结力量。
舞者借由伙伴胸口迈步前进，象征大家只要团结齐心，终将稳健踏出成功的每一步。
That is a street dance performance by the Mugen Dance Troupe. And joining us in the studio is Professor Albert Cho, a professor of political science, who's been answering our questions about just the things we saw in the ceremony, the National Day ceremony, and in particular to Tsai Ing-wen's National Day address, President Tsai Ing-wen's National Day address. Really quickly, I just want to ask you about President Tsai Ing-wen said, "Darker times lead to a brighter future," and that gave me a little bit of pause because I was wondering, what darker times exactly is she talking about comparatively to now? What makes now better than before, or brighter than before at least?
Right. I mean, in fact, this is not the best timing for human beings. I mean, we have witnessed the war, the outbreak of the COVID-19, and also the deficiency in democracy in the sense of populism, and also the authoritarianism from North Korea, from China, from Russia. So this is not the best timing for us, especially not the best timing for a small country like Taiwan. But we are tough. We are still resilient. We are still hanging there, doing our part to the international community. I mean, think about 20 years ago when the SARS broke out in Taiwan, and we were so isolated that we did not even receive any kind of medical assistance from the international society. But we did do our part. We survived, and we recovered from the disaster, and we grew up again. And the situation happened a couple years ago from the COVID-19, but this time it was totally different. We became so experienced in wearing face masks, and we have that sense of unity, that sense of civic responsibility, that we did it really well. Not only we did it ourselves, but also we help others. Okay, so that's what he meant to me, is that we walked through the worst timing to now we are making progress. We are not only making progress, we can help other people. That's what I might take from her.
Indeed, we do hope that there will be a better Taiwan. And another question for you, Professor Cho. In President Tsai's speech, she mentioned that the government established the All-Out Defense Mobilization Agency. And we know that in the private sector, we have the Kuma Academy, Heixiong Sheyuan, to teach the public how to respond to emergencies in a community level. How do you see that? How do you see the current reserve system? And how can we help the public be more ready and prepared for any external threats?
Right. The current reserve system should have been more utilized, or utilized in a more effective way. But it's still, we still have a long way to achieve that point. We knew that the Kuma Academy was built up by the former UMC father, Robert Zhao, right? And he personally donated a lot of money to Taiwan and trying to wake up the public, especially in Taiwan, that we have to help ourselves first before people help out, come to our assistance, right? So that really indicates the new need or new situation where we need to we equip the civilians with the capability of fighting. And that's also what we learned from the Ukrainian-Russia war, okay? But also our Defense Department can come into the scene by helping training ordinary citizens. We know that in the United States, people have the access to gun. They have the gun ownership, that's legal, right? In Taiwan, we do not have that. And some people are worried about that kind of practice in place in Taiwan. But we can, some experts would suggest that we can have some type of revised plan. For example, we can have adults, men, and probably women too, to learn how to use weapons, use guns, and not feel strange to using it. When one day or someday, when it's necessary for us to use it, we can use it right away. We don't feel so strange about using it. So that's basically what the founder Robert Tsai is meant about. And we also knew that he was well known nationally, also internationally known for his position for pro-China leaning. And he was from that pro-China leaning to now ardent critiques of this authoritarian China. And he pretty much, in his own speech in the press conference...
Let me just cut you off really quickly. I'm sorry, let me just jump in here. We are looking right now at the Thunder Tiger Aerobatic Team, which was established in 1953. And the goal of this, they're flying AT-3 indigenous trainers, and this is to show the Air Force's spirit of loyalty. They're performing a flyover with the flag colors, red, white, and blue. Those are also Taiwan's colors, not just the United States'. And they are very impressive. These must be some of the top of the top. I believe that Taiwan's best pilots come out for the National Day celebrations. And the AT-3s have been in use since 1988. And since then, the team has completed 185 domestic aerial demonstrations. And they are probably the pride of the the Republic of China Air Force. Coming up, guys, we'll be bringing you some more analysis with political science professor Albert Cho. But before that, we're going to get to a commercial break.
This is 我们台湾人要送给台湾的礼物。
我们都清楚，我们都在一起在完成一件事情。
这是我们的根。
For more stories from around the world and from right here in Changhua County, Taiwan, visit www.taiwanplus.com. Right? He says moo.
Welcome back. You're watching the TaiwanPlus National Day Special. I'm Betty Chen.
And I'm Leslie Liao, and we're coming to you live from Taipei, Taiwan. Joining us in the studio now is Professor of Political Science Albert Cho, who is a professor at Donghai University, to offer us more insight into what we just saw.
Countries, including the United States, have raised concerns about being dependent on Taiwan's semiconductors. Taiwan is a key maker of chips that are essential for everything from smartphones to cars. It makes 90% of the most advanced chips. In her National Day address, President Tsai addressed these concerns.
I want to specifically emphasize one point to my fellow citizens and the international community, which is that the concentration of the semiconductor sector in Taiwan is not a risk, but is the key to the reorganization of the global semiconductor industry. We will continue to maintain Taiwan's advantages and capacity in leading-edge semiconductor manufacturing processes and will help optimize the worldwide restructuring of the semiconductor supply chain, giving our semiconductor firms an even more prominent global role.
So, Professor Chiu, what do you make of President Tsai's comments about semiconductors?
Right, the semiconductor industry, I mean, we all know that the number one is TSMC in the world, right? And not only the competitors from Japan, but also from Korea, they are worried about this continuing dominance of the TSMC in the world. And of course, that's the law of the markets, that competition is everything. So they do not necessarily think about the importance of TSMC from the perspective of the China-United States competition. They do not think that in that way. But President Tsai Ing-wen basically want to emphasize that the importance of the TSMC is not only in terms of market, not only in terms of economy, but also in terms of the military significance that can help the United States to produce more advanced weapons, for example, the supersonic missiles, and that really requires a very delicate design in a chip manufactured by advanced companies like TSMC. So that, to me, President Tsai Ing-wen really reminds powerful countries, especially the United States, that the continual dominance of the TSMC is necessary. And we do want to share more information regarding the contents of the chip or the skill of the chip or of manufacturing a chip with the United States. So it's not like we want to make money out of the United States, but also that we want to contribute something to there. Yeah.
So they said that President Tsai just said it was a risk, but isn't semiconductor, I don't want to say dominance, but being a force in the semiconductor production industry, shouldn't that be a good thing and not a risk? But she's saying it's a risk in the restructuring of the supply chain. Could you elaborate on why she would call it something like that?
Sure. Like what I said, that the chip is so vital for producing advanced weapons, right? Not only that, but also for high tech, for example, intelligence, system that can deal with the problem of disinformation, right? So, I mean, it could be applied everywhere, from high end to the low end. And given that, I do believe that not only the United States, but also China and even Russia, they are eager to gain the access to that kind of technology, that kind of skill, right? So that's why in the past, we certainly see that in the previous administration of the United States, Mike Pompeo, the previous Secretary of State, he prohibited TSMC from going to China, right? And even make sure that one of the factories was built up in Arizona. Okay, so that we can see that kind of competition everywhere. So that's why she meant by risks, that this whole industry, the sector of the semiconductor, is not only about business, but it's also about the national competitions between superpowers and regional powers and so on. Right.
So, as you mentioned, TSMC is a dominant force in the semiconductor industry, and it's often been called the Hu Guo Sen San, right? It's the mountain that protects the country. But with so much heightened competition from, you say, Korea and Japan, how sustainable is that reputation of theirs of being a Hu Guo Sen San?
Right. I think Japan and Korea, I mean, to be frank, that they still have a better working environments than Taiwan, in the sense that they have a higher salary offered to their employees. Taiwan, some of the complaint about the wage in Taiwan is still too low, especially for professionals. So we have to work on that. So I think like what you said, the sustainability of the companies in Korea and Japan is that they have the advantage over Taiwan in terms of wage. And now if TSMC want to, deploy or open up new branches in advanced countries like the United States, the wage would be the number one issue. Mm-hmm. And the second is the system for working environment. For example, how many holidays you could offer to your employees. I think that's a challenge to TSMC. Whereas for Korea company or Japanese company, they are more willing to be compatible with the Western model.
Now, whereas we see the semiconductors as a kind of a shield to Taiwan, the president also spoke about Taiwan's commitment to defend itself. Let's have a look at another clip from her speech.
I want to make clear to the Beijing authorities that armed confrontation is absolutely not an option for our two sides. Only by respecting the commitment of the Taiwanese people to our sovereignty, democracy, and freedom can there be a foundation for resuming constructive interaction across the Taiwan Strait.
Now, this is something that we've seen in national days before, whereas, President Tsai Ing-wen says Taiwan wants peace and they want to pursue peace, but it has to be done on certain grounds of like parity and equality. And they want to bring China to the table, or at least it seems like that. Mm-hmm. How likely is it that China will take Taiwan up on that offer?
It's hard, given the fact that Xi Jinping now is stepping into his third term. Like what I say, I always describe him as an emperor in many different kind of programs or shows that China and also its own ideology, including the forever lockdown and forever ban on the freedom of speech in China, we see the country is really walking itself further away from the mainstream of the civil society. So it's hard for us to put more faith in China, in the likelihood of the transition to democracy. But we cannot give up on that. After all, the government of China is only in the hands of a small group of tightened up elites out there. And the vast majority of the Chinese people, I believe they're innocent, okay? And I also believe that President Tsai Ing-wen does not want to do something bad or say something bad about those, the mass majority of the Chinese people. And not to mention that some of them are married to the husband and wives in Taiwan. And we are all human beings, we are equal. But still, we have to come back to the bottom line, which is the national defense of Taiwan. So the only way I think now the DPP government, maybe a future government will belong to a different party, will be still by the same token is that we have to strengthen ourselves. We have to get prepared for any kind of possible attack from China before anything else. Peacekeeping, who doesn't want it? Everybody wants peace in the world. Even the United States, even Russia itself want a peaceful unification with Ukraine. But that's just not legit because it's not part of your territory. Speaking of Taiwan, regardless how you argued about the origin or the historical starts of the Taiwan and mainland China belong to the same theme, still it's two separate different countries. And that's why we can tell that from the end of President Tsai Ing-wen's speech that Taiwan is Taiwan. We are a Taiwanese, right? And the Taiwanese, I hope that many parties in Taiwan don't want to take it wrong. First of all, it's a colloquial term in English that, how do you say that we are a people from ROC? Or, it's just not grammatically correct, right? It's not intuitive way to say that we are Taiwanese. And it's very intuitive to say that. So I don't see any problem with that, number one. The second is that when we say we are Taiwanese, that really includes the conception of ROC. After all, our constitution is not revised at the current stage. But for a more flexible use of the Taiwanese in the international society, that's really the way we should go as far as we want to make more friends from international society or join any kind of international organizations. Otherwise, like in the past when I was in the States, a lot of people get confused about what ROC and China. It's such a confusion that between China and Taiwan. Especially when we want to emphasize Taiwan is a democracy, whereas China is not. So we really have to come up with a natural way of saying it. And Taiwanese, I think, is the way to go.
Now, it's almost inevitable that during National Day or any matter of Taiwan, we always talk about China, right? Because like you said, the histories are intertwined and it kind of almost gets confusing for the rest of the world. What can we expect? What kind of response can we expect from China to this National Day? Because I'm assuming they are going to respond to it, correct?
Yeah. I think that President Xi Jinping now is totally occupied by his own job, his own fortune. As far as the National Assembly is coming up in November, he is pretty much occupied by his own by the internal fights of his own party. He has to deal with that first. And a lot of speculation says that not until 2027, Xi Jinping will be sort of deal with his own thing and wait after things are settled down, and he will come up again and say something bad or aggressive toward Taiwan. But the other thing we have to be careful about is 2024, when either in the United States or in Taiwan, we will elect our new national leaders. And that will change the rule of the game. That even might incite some kind of further resentment from China against Taiwan. To have one example, President Donald Trump, former president, might come back to the stage in the U.S. presidential election in 2024, and who knows, maybe Pompeo too. And that, they are pretty much a headache for Chinese government to deal with. And not to mention that whether the next president of Taiwan will be from DPP or from other parties, that will also change the dynamic we are witnessing now.
So speaking of elections, we have a local election coming up, and not to mention the presidential election 2 years later. So what do you think of the asymmetric warfare coming from China? For example, they may use cyber warfare, information or influence campaigning, or they use propaganda to influence and manipulate the people in Taiwan. How can we fight back?
The asymmetric warfare, if we are not talking about militarily, the realistic real war in the battlefield, we're simply talking about what's going on in the cyberspace. It's going on every single day, right? Even though that in the past that Chinese people, because of the difference in using language or difference in thinking or mentality, it's hard for them to influence us. But nowadays, it's getting better and better for them to influence our domestic situation, from society, from crime to politics, and even to election. Pretty much like what Russia utilized or influenced in the 2016 U.S. presidential election, back to when. Okay, so we have to be very cautious about what they are going to use to influence us, number one. Especially now, still a very minor segments of the population in Taiwan, they are in support of the one country, two system in Taiwan. And those people, if one day China attacks us, they will be the first group to give in and to say, yes, we accept whatever you offer to us. That's number one. The second is that a very new phenomenon, I think three of us might be too old to talk about that, is a TikTok.
TikTok.
The TikTok is such a powerful social media app that's not only influential in Taiwan, getting more influential, especially in the United States. A lot of teenagers, they are like fascinated by it and use it very, use it very often, right? So to us, we have to be careful about that because, for example, I'm teaching in a university where 10 years ago, my student, they kind of doesn't think that's a big deal. But now my freshmen in my classroom, they are totally into that. It's like 10 seconds or like 20 seconds of the show, and you can have all kind of gesture, even battle, so that's very fascinating to them. And we will never forget that's from China. And even in TikTok, you find much less contents criticizing the Chinese governments compared with the social media app like Facebook or Twitter. So I think China knows the utility of that thing. And that's a soft power that can carry a lot of weapons in it. And we have to be cautious against it.
Well, we've been speaking to Professor of Political Science at Donghai University, Albert Cho. Professor Cho, thank you so much for joining us on this show.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate your insight.
Sure.
Thank you very much. And thanks for joining us here on TaiwanPlus for National Day Live 2022. For more news from Taiwan and around the world, be sure to download the TaiwanPlus app.
You can also watch us on our brand new 24-hour channel here in Taiwan, or catch us anywhere in the world at TaiwanPlus.com. Finally today, we leave you with some images from this year's National Day celebrations of the Republic of China, coming to you from here in Taipei, Taiwan. I'm Leslie Liao.
And I'm Betty Chen. Happy National Day.
Hi, my name is Leo Sewell. In Chinese, Li Hao. 他们叫我好哥. Welcome on my boat. I moved to Taiwan 11 years ago, and I started driving up and down this river at least 8 years ago. 其实我们到绕河的时候，离101大概2公里，所以我们真的可以开到台北的中心。We're just leaving the harbor. We're gonna start putting in the ghost money. Okay, ready? You can see it, the waves are still pretty big. I'm not the most happy fisherman right now. We just left Wushigong and we're heading up the coast of Ilan, about half a kilometer off the coast. Okay, there's a couple here. There's one here, you see? 2, 3. 到目前的位置大概6次而已啊，赚不到钱了，油钱也不够啊。So he's going in and we're going to take a look at how he does this. Oh, Jesus Christ. Let's go take a look and see if we caught any. Oh, there's one. 我很难抓。
Welcome to Jason's Table, Shocked and Surprised. I really love the opportunity to get to share some of the most shocking and surprising but delicious foods here from Taiwan with you folks out there. Do you even know what this is?
These are chicken testicles.
Chicken testicles?
Yeah.
I think you got the surprise. Oh, I heard it first. Do you know what this is?
This is stinky tofu.
Some people say it smells like dirty socks.
I think it's egg.
I think the only way you can achieve that kind of smell, that kind of level, you would probably have to leave it for like a year or so.
So we got a good stinky tofu for you today?
It's great.
2 bowls of soup, which one is the most expensive? In Taiwanese beef noodles, there are different types of broth bases. There is qingdun, which is a clear broth. There is hongsao, which is the soy sauce-based broth. And there's also one that has tomato in there. It's very, very tender, and then it still maintains the characteristics of the fiber of the beef. This bowl of beef noodle soup is $55 US. The most expensive dish on their menu is the $337 US bowl of noodle soup.
It's expensive.
It's expensive. Specialty of Taiwan, it is
珍珠奶茶.
Tapioca milk tea or bubble tea or boba. Boba are made from sea cucumber. And actually, in the news, this has been described as the worst food in the world. Jason's Table, Shocked and Surprised, is on TaiwanPlus.